Do you need a trust if you're not wealthy? Many people believe trusts are exclusively for the rich. But boy, this couldn't be any further from the truth. The reality is, our grandparents often didn't set up trusts because the financial landscape was vastly different in their time. They didn't face the same challenges we do today: skyrocketing property values, increasingly complex tax laws, and the intricate wealth transfer issues that have become commonplace in the United States over the past few decades. In today's world, if you own a home and have a family, you can significantly benefit from having a trust. This video will explore who needs a trust and who doesn't, helping you understand whether this legal tool is right for your situation. So, what exactly is a trust? At its core, a trust is a legal arrangement where trustees own and manage assets on behalf of beneficiaries. It's important to note that a beneficiary can also be a trustee, which adds flexibility to how trust can be structured. This dual role often comes into play in family trusts, where parents might serve as both trustees and beneficiaries during their lifetime. Let's start by addressing who doesn't need a trust. If you don't own a home and your total assets are below $50,000, you likely don't need a trust. In these cases, a simple will might suffice to handle your estate planning needs. Now let's focus on who does need a trust. If you own a home, have multiple properties, or have children, you should seriously consider setting up a trust. To put this into perspective, I advised on trust setups for individuals with a net worth as low as $150,000. Now, this might surprise some people, but it underscores the fact that trusts aren't just for the ultra wealthy. Well, why use a trust? Trusts have been utilized in the United States for over 2 centuries. Historically, they were the domain of the wealthy and large landowners. However, with the dramatic rise in property values across the country and the democratization of financial information throughout the internet, more and more average Americans are turning to trusts to protect their assets. Thanks to the widespread availability of information online, it's easier than ever to learn about the financial strategies that the wealthy have been employing for generations. The takeaway here is simple. If we can't beat them, and let's face it, we can't, then we should join them in using these powerful legal tools to our advantage. What happens if you don't set up a trust? Well, if you own anything of value, it can potentially be taken from you under various circumstances. However, if you don't technically own it, which is the case when an asset is held in certain trusts, it becomes much more challenging for outside parties to seize that asset. This is one of the primary functions of a trust. It removes you as the sole legal owner of an item. By placing assets in certain trusts, you gain protection against a multitude of potential threats. These include future divorces, either your own or those of your children, long-term care fees, certain types of taxes, litigation, and even bankruptcy. While all of these are significant concerns, 2 of the biggest problems most families face are long-term care fees and divorce. Let's consider a scenario. What happens if your child gets divorced after you've passed away, having left them everything in a will? Does this mean your future ex-daughter-in-law or ex-son-in-law could walk away with half of your life's work? Unfortunately, without proper planning, that's exactly what could happen. A trust can help prevent this scenario by keeping your assets separate from your child's marital property in what is called a subtrust. Now let's talk a little bit about long-term care. We know that these costs are escalating at a major rate. The average cost of long-term care can range from $4,000 to over $10,000 per month, depending upon the level of care needed and your geographic location. Without proper planning, these astronomical costs can quickly deplete an entire family's savings and even force the sale of the family home. This means you might not be able to leave anything to your children to help secure their future. To illustrate the importance of trust for people of modest means, let me share a story that changed my perspective on recommending trust. I was working with a single mother who had raised 2 kids on her own after her husband left. Her net worth was around $150,000, mostly tied up in a small 2-bedroom house. Initially, I didn't think she needed the trust and was going to recommend a simple will and power of attorney. However, she insisted on setting up a special type of trust, even though it was more expensive. She looked me in the eye and said, "After everything I've been through to raise my 2 children, this small house is all I have. I'll be damned if I'm going to let it go to long-term care fees. Her determination to protect what little she had for her children's benefit was a powerful reminder that trust can be valuable tools for people at all wealth levels. So why do you need to set up a trust now rather than later? Well, the simple answer is that no one knows when they might need it. Establishing a trust long before it's actually needed makes it much harder for anyone to challenge its validity or claim it was set up to avoid specific obligations. If you set up a trust years before any foreseeable need, you're in a much stronger position legally. The easiest way to avoid panic, confusion, stress, and frantic phone calls to lawyers is to recognize the potential benefits of a trust now and take action. Honestly, is there any downside to putting your home into a trust at this point? The peace of mind alone can be worth the cost and effort. If you want to protect your assets from potential long-term care costs, it's crucial to plan years in advance. This needs to be done long before there's any foreseeable need for care. A professional estate planner will want to understand your family situation, your objectives, and the size and composition of your estate, how much we are talking about in total assets, what your goals for wealth transfer and asset protection are. Now, when we set up these trusts for families, we're so confident in our planning that we offer a money-back guarantee. When done professionally, we've helped thousands of individuals and hundreds of families protect their homes and other assets from long-term care fees, divorce settlements, and other potential threats to wealth preservation. It's important to work with a specialist estate planner. Just as you wouldn't let your family doctor perform surgery on you, it's not advisable to have a general practice lawyer handle your complex estate planning needs. You want someone who specializes in trusts and estates, someone who stays up to date with the latest legal precedents and strategies. When it comes to protecting your home, likely your largest asset, this is not an area where you want to cut corners. This is where you want to hire the most knowledgeable professionals you can find. Their expertise can make the difference between preserving your wealth for future generations and seeing it depleted by taxes, long-term care costs, or legal claims. The entire process of setting up a trust shouldn't take more than a couple of months from start to finish. You'll likely be protected from the moment you sign the trust document, even if it takes some time for all the administration details to be processed. But remember, unfortunately, to protect it from long-term care fees, there is a 5-year look back. Remember, a trust is not a one-size-fits-all solution. The type of trust you need will depend on your specific circumstances, goals, and the nature of your assets. The cost of setting up a trust can vary widely depending upon its complexity and your location, typically ranging from $4,000 to $8,000 or more. While this might seem expensive, it's often a fraction of what your estate could lose without proper planning. In conclusion, trusts are not just for the wealthy. If you own a home, have a family, or have assets you want to protect, a trust could be an invaluable tool in your financial planning arsenal. By taking action now, you can ensure that your hard-earned assets are protected and your loved ones are provided for, regardless of what the future may hold. If you want more information on how to protect your estate in the United States, click on the link in the description to watch our free workshop. Learn how to protect yourself and your family with a living trust. Remember, the peace of mind that comes from knowing your assets are protected is priceless. Don't wait until it's too late. Start exploring your trust options today.